504 monsoon 2022 starts June 15th. Looking back at last year, 2021 saw above average rainfall and those flash floods.
Kyler Diggs looks at this historic flooding.
So the 83 flood is what we call the flood of record.
The mighty Santa Cruz River in 1983 running bank to bank and taking everything in its path. This historic October flood now serves as the floodplain modeling for Pima County.
During that time, there was no bank protection along the river, so over $250 million of property damage.
With that came 8 deaths and 1,000 injuries, including 2 involving a DPS rescue helicopter. The pilot, 38-year-old Thomas McNeff, and the paramedic, 27-year-old Richard Stratman. They went down at night in a Marana cotton field. KGUN 9 spoke to fellow DPS pilots John Fink and Denny Welsh in 2018. They offered their perspective on the day that McNeff and Stratman set out on their rescue mission.
Because the clouds were probably all the way to the ground, they had no visible horizon.
One thing that came from the crash, there was high standards set on all the crews, and there could only be 10 hours of flight time and so many hours of set downtime where you're loading patients or doing a rescue or where the aircraft wasn't actually in motion.
They were on their way to a rescue. 83 was the largest flood ever, damage-wise, for Pima County and Tucson regions. Big changes came out of that.
We were one of the first communities, one of the first flood control jurisdictions in the nation to implement that, and have since become a national leader.
Fast forward, the 1993 floods happened along the Rito River. The intensity and size of those floods were greater, but with the bank protections in place, thanks in part to the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, damage was not as prevalent. Flooding didn't bring all devastation. It also brought lessons and the loop, now recognized nationally.
People were using those corridors to walk their dogs, walk their horses, and generally become active along those linear parks.